All right, so let's see who comes in. Let me see if I can look and see if anybody shows up. Hey, John, how are you, my man? Oh, my wife Amanda, how about that? Hi, hon. Let's see here. All right, seeing if anybody else wants to show up. There's, hey, SD70 Ace fan, Norfolk Southern, how are you? I'm doing pretty good, John. Thinking about maybe working on a couple of things. Showing off a couple of things that I finished. Hey, James Galton, how are you? And kind of continuing from last week. And I thought I would maybe do an installation on a, let's see if it'll show up, Tsunami Soundcar. Hey, Marty, how are you? All right, so it looks like we got a good group here. So I hope everyone has had a great and fabulous week and an even better weekend, because the weekends are always the best, or in my opinion, they are. So a couple of weeks ago, I asked for some people's opinion when I did a Tsunami Soundcar install, what kind of car they want to see it in. And one person mentioned a covered hopper, and then a couple of people mentioned a mechanical reefer. Would it make sense to really put in an ice bunker reefer? Because with the mechanical reefer, I can have that actual, the refrigeration unit running as it's going down the track. So the reefer car that I decided I was going to put this in is my 60-foot Tyco. Let's see if I don't get a glare on it. There we go. Green Giant. And then for most of you, it looks like, okay, well, that's a double plugged box car. Actually, it is not. And I'm going to switch over to the camera, my camera, and maybe I can show you a little better as to why it is not a box car. Okay. So if you look on this side, you can see the rivets pretty straight, sheet metal ladder. But if I was to move it over to this side of the car, you can see what seems to be like, refrigeration grates, or just basically, I guess, grates on the on that side. And if I flip the car around, you got more grates on this side, nothing on this side. So the actual refrigeration unit is on this end of the car. So now you're probably asking, well, how do I plan on doing that? Well, I've got my soldering iron here. Now, as far as electrical pickups, this is a Tyco. And so the first thing I'm going to need to do is take this car apart without breaking it, of course. Because if I break it, that would not be good. All right. I have it completely broken apart. And what we will need to do is nothing with the shell. All the work is actually done on the underframe. And I think I ended up forgetting to grab my drill. So I'll try to do it without it. I might be able to, especially here with the center. Yeah, I might be able to. So I'm just going to take this metal weight. I'm going to try to pop it out. Oh, it slides out. Even better. And we'll just do that. Set it off to the side as well. So I've got metal wheels here, but the problem that I have is they've got the plastic axles. Let me do this so that way you can see a little better. It's got the plastic axles, and these wheels are not going to be conducive to what I need to do. So I actually have some metal wheels here that have the actual metal axles, and one side of the wheel, let me see if I can do it. Ooh. Oh, it's wanting to get autofocusing. Well, inside this wheel is a rubber washer. If I show you this end, you can see it's kind of all metally. But if I flip the wheel around, you can see the rubber washer around the pin. So this will actually work perfect for what I need to do here. It looks like not many more are showing up. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop these wheels out. Now the key to it is when you put these in, you want to make sure that the rubber washers are on the same side. For one side of the truck's opposite side on the other truck. So that way it'll be like getting a positive and your negative. And it doesn't matter which side gets which. You just need to make sure that they're the same, needless to say. All right. And here we go. All right, so I've got the new wheels in. Now, as far as electrical pickups, hey, John, Schuylkill River Valley. Hey, Cousin Vinny. That's all right, I understand. Sometimes we all got things we got to do, but I appreciate you dropping in. But with these Tyco trucks, you just can't really replace them with any other type of trucks. So I'm going to have to modify these so that way we can get electrical pickups from these trucks. And what I end up using is these Katy coupler springs. They're perfect for it. Basically, if you come over here and you kind of fan the pieces off and don't drop it like I just did, you can actually go glue these onto the truck and have them rub against the inside of the wheels, and it'll actually do a pickup. So, but before you want to do that, you want to make sure you solder the wire to these first, which I will do in just a minute. Because if you make the mistake that I have made in the past and glue them onto the truck first and then try to solder your wire, you end up melting the truck, and that's not good. So definitely do not make that mistake that I have made in the past. Hey, Mystic Southern Railway, how are you doing? So I'm just going to go ahead and get these fanned over. I've got my soldering iron heated up, and I've also got some scrap wire. So with these Tsunami Soundcars, you can actually they have lighting functions as well. I mean, you might as well just say it's a full-blown decoder that just has no motor control. So a lot of times I'll end up clipping the lighted wires, if I'm doing some type of rolling stock that's not a caboose or a passenger car. And I will keep the wires because they make great for, doing the electrical rail pickups, because they're really good and flimsy too. So in this case, I've got 4 wires. I had another wire here somewhere. Yeah, it must have fell on the floor. Oh well. I'm going to use yellow and brown for this instance. I'll go ahead and just cut these off. And I realized I left my flux in the kitchen. All right, I'm going to see if I can turn this a little bit better where y'all can see. There we go. All right, pick up a little bit of solder. And I'm just going to try to tin these wires a little bit. I hope everyone can hear me just fine. Sometimes I get kind of as a quiet talker, so if I get a little quiet, y'all let me know. Hey, Grandpa Rails, how are you doing? Welcome aboard. All right, so I've got a good 10 on these. All right, now the trick is going to be getting a 10 on these metal fins here. All right, and I'm actually going to use the weight. This weight will be perfect to set it on, so that way I don't burn my surface. But I want to see if I can get these wires soldered on there just a little bit. And I've done a little bit of clean out in my garage, so some of my stuff's kind of, can't find some of my stuff. But all right. So what I might have to do, since that's not wanting to grab, I've got an X-Acto here. Let's see if I can scratch it and maybe that will pick it up. And I know this is probably hard to see because these are so small. But I'm just trying to make it to where I can get the solder to grab. So come on, life cam. So just trying that. Soldering makes you suicidal. Amanda, if you could bring me the flux, that would be amazing. Do you know where I keep it? It's in the fridge. My wife is so awesome. Let me tell y'all. If I need something, she'll just bring it to me. One of these days, I'll get her on camera if she'll ever get on it. All right. Also scratched that one up too, so hopefully that will work. So I've used these coupler springs like 3 times, and this was actually a trick that George Bogatuk, he's a sales rep for Soundtraxx. If you're not subscribed to their channel, he does a lot of stuff on the Soundtraxx channel, and he's the one who actually showed me how to do this when I went for my dealer training back in 2017. And back then, Tsunami Soundcar was actually the newest thing out, and I thought that was very cool. All right. So, and this is the actual flux that they use. It's called Alpha. Let's see. Here we go. There we go. Alpha OM338. And this stuff you have to keep refrigerated. But this stuff is awesome stuff. And sometimes I'll use something like a toothpick or something to kind of, spread it on my surfaces. All right. Now let's see if I can get a little bit of solder to join these. All right. Sometimes it just takes a few minutes. There we go. Oh, that one took even better. But like I said, you really don't need anything super fancy. Just something to kind of get that solder on there. And I know it's kind of hard to tell, but I'm sure y'all can see the solder in it. Hey, Joe Rader, how are you doing? Yeah, I decided to sign on about 6 o'clock Central Time, so I guess that would be 7 Eastern and 4 o'clock Western time. I think Vinny's Western or Pacific time. So, all right. So now I've got that done. So the next thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to try to pop these trucks off this car without damaging the car, just like so. All right. So this is currently what I have. And these are actually, like I said, these are Tycos. So these are the ones that's got the coupler box within. And my goal now is to glue these, which I've got Gorilla Super Glue, and they said this is like 10-second stuff. So pretty strong. And I can show you some of the projects that I have been working on while I wait for the glue to dry. So I'm actually going to get a little more not as comfortable when working on this. But the goal is to get it to where, well, before I do that, I almost forgot to solder my wires. Let's see if anybody caught that. Probably not. Man, I use the mess out of Gorilla Glue. Gorilla Glue is the stuff, let me tell you. Especially like if you got welders kits and you need to glue like track into the building plate. And y'all, I'm sorry that this keeps focusing in and out, this camera. Clear Gorilla Glue is by far supreme when it comes to that. All right, let's see if I can get. Can y'all see this pretty well? I hope y'all can. Basically, all I'm doing is just getting my wire soldered to these coupler springs. Let's see if it'll go. Ah, it's wanting to grab my soldering iron. Get off of there. How about that? You know, they say if it's easy, anybody can do it. All right, let's try this again. And another problem is I'm using such flimsy wire that it might not want to be grabbing so well. All right, I've got that one. And that is warm, let me tell you. Get out of here. All right, now off for the yellow wire. If I can get that soldered on. Wanting to be contrary. Come on, there you go. All right. As you can see, that's how I got it soldered on there. So now I'm ready to glue these. And like I said before, you need to recognize, you know, on these wheel sets, these metal wheel sets, you have to use metal axles. But you want to make sure that one side is rubber. And then let's just say, you know, this is how the car looks like in a short comparison form. So this side here is rubber, that side is rubber. So that way you got your positive on this one, your negative on that one. So now what I'm going to attempt to do is take these and glue this right here on the center. It's kind of hard to tell. And get that glue to dry. And it's actually easier to do these with the Tyco trucks than the Athearn or Atlas, because then you got to kind of clip off part of the coupler spring. All right, done for that for a little bit. And once you get the box glued on and that glue set, then you can take those, the springs itself on the coupler spring and adjust it however you need to. But, you know, something similar to that right there. So, I'm sure you probably hear my son in the background. He's on dog feeding duty. All right, so I got one done. And then time to do the other one. And I'm actually going to do it the opposite direction. Let's see if anybody. Hey, Sparky, how are you? Welcome to the festivities. Putting in a Tsunami Soundcar and a Mechanical Reefer, a Tyco one at that. If Container Man was here, he would be enjoying this because he says he likes Tyco. All right, so I've got that one in. So I'm gonna wait, let this glue dry. So let me switch over cameras. All right. So I guess what I can do now, well, let me ask you this. Would anybody want to join in on this live stream with me? Just let me know and I'll post the link. Might be easier to have two people talking, especially while I'm doing demonstration stuff. Let's see here, invite. Unless you have a baseball glove. That's awesome. I've actually got a baseball glove. It's out my shed with an artificial Ken Griffey Jr.'s autograph in it from when I played Little League ball. All right, so if anybody wants to join in, there's the link. So I think I can get, up to 5 others, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's how many we had last night on Sparky's live stream. Go along then. No, I was a pitcher first baseman. I either struck him out or caught him out. Only because I'm a lefty, or what they call then a southpaw. 6 total. Okay, so yeah. So these, I can show you these. These are fully completed. These are my wood chips. I don't know how well that's showing on that camera. Maybe I should show it on the other one. Let me switch back. See how well that shows. Does that show better? Yeah. Okay, so originally the first coat that I did on these, I sealed it in with Mod Podge. This time I actually went and added another layer of sawdust to cover in the holes and used Dull Coat spray paint, and it actually, I thought, made these look a lot better. They're not as golden yellow. It's kind of more of a whitish yellow, like, you know, wood chips would look like. So I've got these finished. The other project I'm working on is doing a rail wheel load for a gondola, and these are removable, by the way. Oh, hey, Jerry Sattarelli. How are you doing, man? All right, I'm going to go back to my other camera. So that's some of the things that I have been working on since I haven't really been able to do much on the layout itself, you know, due to the high heat. So, and these are still not dried yet. As soon as I picked up on it, it would move. So, thanks, Grandpa. Appreciate it. All right. I still got to wait on these wires and coupler springs to dry before I can really go to the next spot. I guess what I could do is get my hand drill out. Though, yes, that and if you're doing operations like I plan on doing too, Jerry, if you got like a rip track or like a car shops, you can might as well say that is an industry that you can actually run a wheel load to. On my last live stream, I was showing a place in the town that I grew up in, which is a big railroad town, or used to be. They actually made railroad wheels. I don't know if they, was a full foundry and did, the whole thing from scratch, or if they had all the different components shipped to them and they compressed it together. But I do know, as far as I constantly saw these flat cars and gondolas with double stacks of these wheels going out. Okay. Ow. All right, so basically what I'm doing now is just getting my hand drill just to get some holes in the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and pull that off. And since I'm running operations, I'm one of those that, whatever loads I put in the cars, they cannot be permanent loads. They got to be able to be removable. Because you don't want to ship, let's go back to the wood chip hoppers, for example. I don't want to ship a wood chip hopper car to a sawmill that I plan on having on my layout, and it have wood chips already in it. I mean, that wouldn't make sense. The goal would be is to park that car up under the wood chip loader, and then after that train has run for the day and I start, cycling all the way bills, then I can go in and start putting the loads in, the vehicles that need loads. And then as far as like a delivery, take the loads out, from the cars that did a deliver. All right, so now I'm just basically, I've got my drill. I'm not used to this camera stuff yet. My drill, and this is the bottom of the car. So you can see where the trucks would snap in. And like I said, this is a Tyco, and I don't know if you can read it, but yeah, it says Tyco right there. So what I'm wanting to do is drill a hole close to where the truck would be, so that way I can get the wire up through. Well, about had it. There it goes. So that's really the next step is, getting the wires in, and you want them close enough, but not to where the wire is obstructing. And I like to try to hide everything I'm doing, so that way, one, it don't look weird. All right, and then while I'm drilling holes, I might as well go ahead and drill some extra holes for the sound. And I think what I'm going to do is, since there's this plug here in the middle, I'm going to try to drill through that. Because I want my sound to be able to come out of the car. And I could use an X-Acto and carve it out. And I might have to end up doing that. So I've got my X-Acto with me. At least the bottom you don't get to see. Now, where I'm doing this, I'm doing this right in the middle between the two iron braces. So it's something that you can't really, it's not obtruding. And it's a great place for the sound to come out. And that's the goal, is just to have a big enough area for your sound. All right. Like I said, it doesn't have to be the biggest hole, but there you go. So I've got a hole over here for my wire, hole in the middle for the sound, which I'll put the speaker right on top of it, and another hole for the other truck. And let's see if the glue has set yet. I don't know if it has or has not. Okay, it has on that truck, so that's good news. And it has on that one. So now I'm going to go ahead and snap the truck back in and feed my wire through the hole. Well, come on. There it goes. All right. Sometimes you just got to use tweezers. Let me go under it. There we go. So Sparky, you had a pretty busy night yesterday. How did your barbecue go? I didn't get to watch all your live streams, as I had stuff going on as well. Do you have a big turnout? All right. $11.8. All right. So now I went ahead and put the weight back on. I've got the wires coming through. So now we can actually proceed with the actual installation of Soundcar. If you've never had a Tsunami Soundcar, which is digital sound decoder by Soundtraxx, these are not for locomotives unless you want to put it in a dummy. You could do that. But these are mainly for your rolling stock. This will give you the clickety-clack, your flange squeal. You can even program these things to have a flat spot. If you put it in a, like a caboose, you could get that Hancock chime whistle. Of course, it does have lighting functions on it like a normal decoder would as well. And of course, this kind of gives you the explanation of how to program it or install it. So like I said, you do have your lighting functions on this side, and it will actually let you do up to a backup light, a headlight, and then 2 function lights, which would be FX5 and FX6. Now, the neat thing about these is when you're consisting these to your consist, you actually don't have to address these things. There's a magnet sensor in there, so you actually get to run a magnetic wand over it, and it actually knows to couple that onto your, the locomotives or your consist that you have in there. All right, so for this one, we've got a lot of wires, and I'm not going to need them all. The only ones I'm going to need is red, black, which is your rail pickups, and the purple pair for my speakers. So red, black, and purple. So I'm going to pull these out. There's yellow, white. Get out of there. And we got green and red. Well, nope, I need to keep red. So red, black, and purple is the ones I need to keep. It's blue. There's blue. All right. So those are the wires I do not need. So I'm going to go ahead and cut those off so they're not in my way. Oh, and there's a brown as well. Get rid of that brown one. And like I said before, I'll end up saving these wires because I might use them for like a rail pickup for, creating, electrical trucks or something. Because the caboose that I'm actually going to be doing this, the next one in, when I get all my LEDs, the trucks are actually painted gold. So I can't really, replace them because then it's not going to match. So, all right, so here's my cut wires. I'm just going to set those off to the side. And first things first, let's get the black and red. I'm just going to go ahead and tin these up real quick. And let me switch the camera over. Let's see here. Hey, Dwight Curley, how are you? Day BNSF scale. And I think I haven't seen anybody else come in. Welcome aboard. Since y'all just joined us, what I'm actually working on is installing a Tsunami Soundcar in a 60-foot mechanical reefer. And it's my ho 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 Green Giant car. I've got 2 other mechanical reefers and quite a few more ice bunkers. And I was thinking, as far as doing any of the mechanical reefers, my options was Green Giant, which is it's a car number GARX 50822, or I could do it in a Union Pacific car, or I could do it in a BNFE, which I think is Burlington Northern Fruit Express. And I decided, why not do it in this Tyco here, this Green Giant. And of course, it's a 60-footer. The other 2 that I have are 50-footers. So let's see here. All right, flux. And for those who didn't see earlier on the flux that I got, this is actually what Soundtraxx uses. It's for any of you who wants to write this model down. Let's see, I had it up here earlier. Come back. Come on, camera. I think it's just too bright. It's a Alpha OM-338. I had it up there earlier, and it actually showed pretty good. This flux you have to keep refrigerated. If you don't refrigerate this stuff, it don't work. I bought 2 tubes for a reason, and one of the tubes I had to throw in the trash because it no longer works. All right. Woo, smoky. All right, so I've got those tinned up. And something else I like to use is the heat shrink tubing. It just makes doing everything so much more cleaner. All right. And the stuff that I've got here, it's Miniatronics makes it, and it's 3/64 inch. Let's see if I can show you that. But that's the stuff I use. And some of these wires, it's kind of a little too small on, but hey, it's better than nothing. Alright, now what I need to do is tin up the wires from the car itself. Alright, I got that one. There it is. There we go. And I'm going to grab one of these pieces of tube. See if I can pop it open. Slide that one on there. Grab this one. And slide it on there. Alright. And I'm going to do black to brown and red to yellow, because that just kind of makes most sense. And before I solder them, I just kind of twist them around each other. I mean, they are pre-tinned. But I'm going to tin it again, or use flux, and then hit it again with the soldering iron. And then what I'll do is fold it back and just slide that across like so. Take my soldering iron, try not to burn myself, and melt the tube right around that solder joint. And that's a good connection. Now I know it's a little harder to see on the black and the brown, so maybe with the red and the yellow you'll be able to see it a little better. So now on this one, my red wire is a little longer than the yellow, so I'm going to try to twist it around the yellow wire. Like so. So it's camera likes to autofocus. I don't know if y'all can see that. There you go. You might be able to. So I've got it twisted together. I'm going to run a little more flux on it. Pick up some solder. And smoke up the room like Cheech and Chong. Okay. So what I'm doing now, so that way you can see, is I'm taking the red wire and I'm going backwards with it and just sliding that heat tubing right over it, just like so. And that's just to kind of keep a good, clean look on this. The only cars that I actually really trim my wires up on, you know, to hide, and I didn't use really loud colors, is the stock cars, because you can actually see in them or see through them, and I wanted to make sure that those stay dark. And the cool thing is, if you got stock cars, these Tsunami Soundcars have a mode called Beast Banner. Different, huh? And the Beast Banner, that gives you two options. You can either use it for cattle or you can use it for sheep. So you can either get a whole bunch of random mooing going on or random baas. Now, if you've got multiple cars, let's say you got 3 stock cars that have, you know, just straight cattle. All 3 cars are not going to be mooing the exact same time. They're going to be, it's all random how they did it, and it's very impressive, in my opinion, on how they were able to do every bit of that. Okay, so now I've got the car wired up. Now I got to get my speaker wired, and I've got, so I can show you this. This is my old tackle box that in the process of cleaning out because it's got all of my stuff. I actually went and bought, this is a good idea for y'all. This is called a large photo and craft keeper. And it's basically one container with a whole bunch of little containers in it. So for those who are try to be organized or are organized, these are pretty awesome. And I plan on maybe getting a couple more of these because I'm sure I'm going to need them. Small tackle box don't really do the job very well. All right. Because it is a mess. Now, with Soundtraxx, if you're using LEDs for anything, like say if you're doing a passenger car or a caboose or even a dummy locomotive, make sure you've got 1000 ohm resistors. Otherwise, you're going to fry the lighting part of the board, and that's not cool. Okay. So there's my speaker baffle, and there's my speaker. So I'm using a 28 millimeter speaker. I don't have the part number on hand, but it's a 1-inch speaker. And then the baffle kit. Okay, actually the baffle kit tells me what part number. This speaker, 1-inch, Soundtraxx, the part number is 810153. The Soundcar, I mean, there's only one part for that. I don't know if it's got a part number on it or not. 829100. So for you that are writing these down. Thanks, John. And so the speaker baffle kit part number is 810110, and it only works for the 1-inch round. Now, Soundtraxx also sells these, which these I typically like to put in my my locomotives, and it's the mini cubes. I'm sure you probably heard of the sugar cube speakers. These are basically the same thing, and they're already in their pre-built baffle. And if you put 2 of those in series mode, it gives a good deep resonating sound. But I would not waste that on a Tsunami Soundcar unless it's, something worth using it on. All right. Now, as far as getting the wires to the speaker, I have to get the back off first. And I'm going to get to drill holes in it because the backing on the baffle kit has 2 little holes for your speaker wires. But typically the speaker wires, and I just dropped my drill bit. I have to use another drill bit. They're a lot of times they just need cleaned out. They just don't. You can't really use it. And that drill bit just wanted to be funny. See if I can get that out. When I tried closing this case earlier, it pushed my drill bit through the case. There we go. And I'm not even going to use the vise. I'm just going to kind of get in here and see if I can clean these holes out. And that drill bit's just a little big, but that's fine. Now, I currently have 2 or 3 sound cars on my layout. I have a box car, and then I've got 2 stock cars with a beast banner in there. I originally started off with just the cattle, but I've decided to go and add sheep as well, just to give me some more options as far as the operations go that I plan on doing on my layout when I get that far. Pin biases. So, and then as far as, which wire is positive, which wire is negative on these sound cars, I don't think it really matters. I think either or will do. Now, some decoders, it does matter if you're using positive or negative. But I think as far as the sound card, they're not marked I mean, both of the wires are solid purple. Now, I have seen, like on some of the Tsunami decoders, that they will be marked as far as which one's positive and negative. And sometimes it'll be like you have a solid purple wire, and sometimes a purple wire with a white stripe on it. And that kind of lets you know that the one with the white stripe, that's your negative. Okay. And then let's see here. I'm going to need this one as well. And normally I'd get an X-Acto after these, but these don't have to be perfect. And since I'm using a mechanical reefer on this one, I'm going to get the extension. There we go. Plastic weld. It's good stuff. And let's see here. I got to make sure I do this right. I think it goes this way. Because one of these is the speaker side and the other side is the extension or the back side. Okay. All right. Okay. And the reason I'm doing that is so that way I can go ahead and get this glued on, because I'm going to solder the wires to the speaker last. So I want to go ahead and make sure I've got a good seal. And then it gets even more fun when you try to do this and you got wires in the way and you're like, ah, get out of my way. All right. And there is the baffle put together. Now I'm done with the plastic weld. I go back and tin my wires again, or clip and tin them. That one's clipped. And clipped. Hey, Epic Railroad and SoCal Scale Models. Welcome. What I am working on is installing a Tsunami Soundcar in a mechanical reefer, if you are wondering. Okay. And I apologize if my hands are in the way, but this gets a little tricky. That's not a good hold. There we go. And keep that wire out of the way. All right. Wires wanting to be funny. There we go. All right. Got that one on. And let's see here. Because I got my wire just a little too long, I'm going to use some electrical tape to kind of cover that up. Well, SoCal, I haven't had a chance to work on scenery because it's just been too hot and humid out in my garage. I've got the stuff to do it, but wet paint and humidity and just does not gel very well. All right. Okay. Stay. All right, so I got one wire in. All right, where's my other purple wire? There it is. I'm going to cut this one down. There we go. Come on, speaker. All right. I did much better on that wire. Sometimes you have to give these things a little bit of a force. But ta-da, there's our speaker and the baffle. All right, so next the fun part. I'm actually going to add another piece to this. And it's in here. Now, because I'm using... Is this it? Yeah. Because I'm, making my own trucks, electrical pickup trucks with these, and because this one's going to be the solid positive, this one's the solid negative, it's always a good idea to put in like some type of current keeper, or I can't think of what the other manufacturers call them, but Soundtraxx calls theirs the current keeper. Now, if you've got trucks that you've got, your right rail and your left rail on, for both trucks, then you shouldn't need it, because then you've got, 4 wheels you're getting your pickups from. Here you got 2 and 2. So the current keeper, that just makes it to where if it's going over dirty track, or if it's going over, a non-juiced frog on a turnout, it will actually keep the car alive for a while. And when I mean a while, I mean a while. Part number for this one is 810140. And I mean, these are fairly small. I don't know if y'all can see that very well. And I've got a lot of glare in here. There we go. I mean, these are very, very small. But they are worth having. And they do give a piece of heat tubing as well, which I don't really know what it's for. There are actually 2 pieces of heat tubing. I guess if you decide to cut the plug off of it and just solder it in manually. So I will actually save these for a future job, because it could come in handy. But they do have a little plug on them. And as far as the decoders go, there's an actual plug on that side. So just plugging this in here, it's like, easy peasy. So, bam, there you go. And these are small enough for N scale. So Dave, Vinny, I know y'all do N scale. I think John, Joe, y'all are all HO. Yeah, it's basically like a capacitor epic. That's basically, I mean, it's just, I don't know if you can tell, but it's really 5 capacitors. I don't know exactly what the capacitor ratings are, because, I mean, of course, they got it covered up, but I want to say the DCC guy actually showed how he made his own current keepers. But, I mean, if you look at this, I mean, these are small. So I can fit these in side by side on this HO scale box card. So theoretically, these should fit in N scale. Now, as far as this 1-inch speaker, no, you'll have to go with the sugar cube. All right. So what I want to do first is I want to get the Soundcar all the way to the top. And if you notice, there's 2 I don't know if they're capacitors or what the actual electrical component is. And then, of course, you got a flat side. The magnetic sensor is on the flat side, so this is the side that you want taped to the top of your car. And preferably, you want it taped kind of in the center. So I'm going to try to do all of this without losing it. Stay. Let me get my electrical tape back out. And you want to make sure that you have enough to go over it. Now the way I do mine is I'll actually pinch my tape together like so and grab it on the top of the decoder, push the decoder in, and then push the tape all the way down to the roof. And sometimes I have to use a screwdriver, a miniature screwdriver, to get that accomplished. There we go. Like that. So that way when I use my magnetic wand to enable or disable, you just drag it along the top of the car and it will either consist or deconsist. And it's actually got some really cool sounds as to how it does that. And then as far as your current keeper, you know, you could do the same thing. Grab a few more pieces of tape. Wow, this live stream's been going for an hour now. How about that? And I'm almost done, y'all. Unfortunately, I do not have a power pack or a track with me to let you preview the sound, but I will do that in a future video because I will have to program this thing, especially since it's a mechanical reefer and we want it to sound like the refrigeration unit is running, you know, all the time. Okay. And then here, what I am going to do, since this is metal, I really don't want that speaker on metal. Oh, that's actually magnetic. I'm actually going to put the speaker sideways like so. And so what I need to do is make sure I've got enough room in here to do that. And I will probably just super glue that baffle in. All right. With some Gorilla super glue. And to make sure that it stays put, I'm actually going to go ahead and tape it as well. It's always better to be safe than sorry. All right. And I'll have to trim that tape off on that. But that is okay. There we go. Or I lose you too. Okay. So alright, so the purple is the current keeper, the white is the sound card decoder itself, and then of course here's my speaker. Speaker's facing that direction. Alright, and then now all I'm going to do is just take this and close her back up and make sure I don't have any wires hanging out, which is the tricky part. And I got a flathead here somewhere. All right, ladies and gents, our sound car is complete. Now, if Soundtraxx actually made the Green Giant go ho ho ho, that would be pretty funny. Hello, one hardcore MOH. Welcome. So that's pretty much what I have as far as, putting in a sound car in a mechanical reefer. The only thing I need to do is test it and program it. Let me get the camera swapped back over. There we go. So, Brothers Gibb. All right. It's a John Travolta they called Stay Alive. Yeah, that's definitely the Brothers Gibb for sure. The Bee Gees. And I know that's kind of above my age. But believe it or not, I've actually heard that song from my father growing up. Him playing it in the vehicle. I think, aren't they all deceased now, all three of them? I want to say the last one died within the last couple of years. I can't remember. All right. Now I've got some more metal wheels to go in whatever. And that's all I've got, y'all. Okay, so there is one left. So it's, which one is it, hardcore? I think so too, Joe. Epic, actually, I do not think you have to have DCC to make it work. It does help, especially in, the consisting part. But I do not think DCC is required for these to make sound. They are pre-programmed to do clickety-clack and the flange squeal. And, all right, Vinny, take care. And so you could theoretically put these in a car. And I want to say the price on these is like 30, 40, maybe $50 at the worst. Used to Soundtraxx would, include a speaker kit with them, and they did that for a while, but they no longer do that anymore. But I will tell you, if you do try to get one of these, Soundtraxx prefers you to go through your local hobby shop that is a dealer. Their price on their website is MSRP, so that is what they recommend selling it for. But a lot of your hobby shops will offer discounts. I'm pretty sure Yankee Dabbler, Midwest Model Rail, probably Train World. I would assume those are all, and maybe Otter Valley Railroad as well. I would assume those are all Soundtraxx distributors. But like I said, our hobby shop, Arkansas Traveler Hobbies, I'm not an employee there. I'm just the installer for them. And the owner actually sent me to Durango, Colorado 3 years ago to go get trained by Soundtraxx themselves. Got to tour the facility. It was really neat. On my channel, I posted 2 videos the other day of us riding the Durango in Silverton. And that was actually our whole class got that car by ourselves, which was really cool. Because you had all the coaches and open cars, right behind the locomotive. And then they had a concession car. And then the next car after that was us. And then there's a zip line place between Durango and Silverton that you can only get to by rail. So all the cars that were after us were the people getting on and off at the zip line. So it was a really neat trip. But, we got to do an install on a Tsunami 2 for a steam locomotive, a diesel locomotive, and they didn't let us do any of the installs on the sound car. I wish they would have, but they didn't. But we did get to kind of go over the, documentation of it. And how to program it. Now, we did get to program our two locomotives, the steam and the diesel, and doing the digital dynamic exhaust was really neat. Which, for those who don't know, and I'm sure Loke Sound and Wow Sound by TCS and whatever Digitrax's sound decoders are, it's to where, if you got a locomotive that's pulling a train, it might be in, let's say if it's a diesel, it's in notch 6, okay? And if it starts going up a grade, it's automatically going to shift up to notch 8 for you. And soon as you flatten back out or you start going downhill, it's going to automatically notch down. I can't remember if it kicks in the dynamic braking or not. That I don't remember. Now, another neat feature with the Soundcar, and I only know how to do this with NCE, so Digitrax people, DigiKeys, forgive me, MRC2. In the braking setup on your throttle, you can actually change your braking to go from locomotive braking to train braking. So if you've got your locomotives with sound and, let's say your speed's at 50, right? Good track speed. And you decide to slam on, the brakes or just throttle all the way down, then you're only hearing the braking from the locomotive. But let's say you got a consist of 20, 30 cars, and you don't want to have every single car with the Soundcar because then the sound gets overbearing. They recommend every 4 to 5 cars in your consist. But it's cooler to hear when you change it from locomotive braking to sound, train braking, that when you throw your train in the brake, you actually hear all the individual sound cars braking, which I thought is really cool. Hardcore, I wish I could, but that would require me going out to the hot, sticky garage. But I still have to program this car. Right now, it will do the clickety clacks and the flange squeals, but it won't do the mechanical reefer thing at all. And I want this car to sound like the refrigerating unit is running as it's going down the track. So that's kind of the gist of it. And then, like I said, as far as, the connection, and I don't have my magnet with me, but let's just pretend this is my magnet. All you do is you drag it across, and it sounds like the brakeman is cranking the handbrake. So you'll hear him crank it up. And then for NCE, because this is what I use, you're actually going to hit your F8 button, your function 8 button 4 times. So it's really like, F8 on, F8 off, F8 on, F8 off. And when you do that, every single car that's in the consist, you'll hear the air from the locomotives go into the air reservoirs on each of these cars that have the Soundcar equipped. And then as soon as you start pulling away, then you start hearing the clickety clacks and the flange squeals. And it doesn't matter if it's a rolling stock or if it's passenger car caboose. It doesn't matter. It's going to do it. And then let's say that you drop off, you're going to uncouple, you just run your magnetic thing over it again, and it sounds like the brakeman kicked the handbrake and, bleeds all the air out. So that's the real cool thing about these sound cars. And I plan on doing a whole bunch more, but, I'm not made of money. So I'm sure a lot of us ain't, or probably all of us. But that's just kind of where I'm at. I'm an operations type guy. Scenery's kind of second for me. And I've been doing the hobby since 2008, so it's been a while. Better turn that off before I fry it. The only other thing I plan on working on is this car here with the wheel load. I actually plan on adding another layer on top. Because they actually did that. But like I said, I made, and I had to glue all these wheels in, which was real fun, tell me. But if you did the doubles and alternate them like that, they would actually add another row on top. But if you did a single row, they only did, one layer because you couldn't justify that on there. And I had to custom make this. What I ended up using was some scrap pieces of Code 83 rail. So you can see there's 4 pieces. And then the wood pieces here, that's actually matches from a matchbox or a box of matches that I cut off. So they make, in my opinion, good HO scale timbers. And then I just, these are old Athearn, Atlas, AccuRail plastic wheel sets. I have no use for these on my rolling stock because I will not run anything with a plastic wheel. Hey, Miles Junction in scale. How are you doing? And so, I mean, what else can I do with these? I mean, might as well find a use for them instead of just chunking them in the trash. So now, after I get this all done, I do plan on going back and coloring these and rusting them up. I think with a good rust color, they would look a little more authentic. Because even the brand new wheels had rust, except for you typically didn't see the rust here on the actual. I don't know if y'all can see that or not. I'm gonna get a little closer. Right here. This was really the only area, the part of the wheel that actually rubs against the rail that did not have rust. The inside would have rust, and the outside section here around the axle would also have rust. And like I said, the town that I grew up in, they made these, and they had so many sitting off to the side and stacked. And I mean, it's a pretty neat industry. If that was, I don't see a lot of people modeling that. I don't plan on doing it because I don't know enough about the industry for running operations. So, but anyways, that's really all I got. I hope y'all enjoyed watching me, do this, and maybe kind of give y'all some inside info as to how y'all can do it yourselves. But other than that, that's pretty much all I've got. So, all right, well, it is 7:22, and I have been on here for almost an hour and 20 minutes. So I think I'm going to go ahead and head on off of here and go eat me some dinner. Just remind everyone, I still got that 200 subscriber contest coming up when I hit 200. I will probably more than likely open it up at 180. And I last checked, and I'm above 150. I think I'm at 152. So slowly but slowly chipping up, my way there. And thank you, John. Thank you, Epic. And I appreciate y'all all joining me tonight. And yeah, so like I said, y'all take care. Be safe out there. And happy railroading. Y'all have a good evening. All right, go ahead and end my broadcast.